guys, it's your girl Kizzy Rock, and yes, Kizzy Rock is my birth given name. Happy Tuesday morning. I want to say hey to all my subscribers, new as well as seasoned. I got a word for you. Tap in. Happy Tuesday morning, guys. I want to share 3 things with you guys really quickly. Number 1, be very, very careful that the enemy is not using time against you. The enemy is very strategic. And you hear all the time, God is not a God of time, God is not a God of time, right? But sometimes when you hear those things over and over, it becomes such a cliche, but it's true. I saw a vision of a cookie cutter when I was reading the Jesus Calling this morning that's posted on the community page. I saw a vision of a cookie cutter, and then I saw that cookie cutter being removed. So I believe time was just placed on us because if it wasn't, we'll just be all over the place, right? So time is for us, but the enemy will literally try to use it against you. Oh, well, if this doesn't happen by this time, you're going to miss it, right? If you don't do it by this time, you're going to get too old. If you don't do it, everything is about time. But the enemy is strategic, because when you start moving and toiling and getting ahead of God, God will silent on you. God will pull back. So you think that you're moving quickly and you're getting things done more quickly, but you're not. It's the opposite. You're causing a longer delay, because once you get ahead of God, God will go silent on you. He will let you do what you do, boo, and he goes silent on you. So then you're prolonging your own process, right? So just be very, very careful not to focus on time, but to focus on purpose and focus on what does God need at that specific time. Next, I want to share, if God has done it for you before, he will do it again. So some of you are probably waiting on a certain open door. You're waiting for God to come through, and you're just like, ooh, I'm at my wit's end. I don't think God's going to come through because X, Y, and Z. Well, think about a time where you really thought God wasn't going to come through, like for real. And he came through. Even if he came through at the very last minute, he came through. So if he'd done it before, why wouldn't he do it again, right? The difference is he may be stretching you more this time. That thing may be more intense, because that's the way he's going to build your faith, right? So just trust and know that if you're waiting on something, focus on what he's done before, right? Something in your past, and apply it to how you're waiting now. Next, actually, I have 4 things. Something's pinging in my spirit I want to add in. I want to plug this one in really quickly. So let this be number 3, and then number 4 I will add in. Number 3, there is a difference between being still and being lazy. Not lazy as, well, whatever. Being still and being lazy. Right now, many of us, at least people I know, many of us have convictions to be still. God is moving, you be still. However, being still doesn't always mean you do absolutely nothing at all. If you get convictions that there are certain things that you need to do, then you still do those things. Being still means you're not putting your hands in it trying to make it happen. You can't make the door open. You can't make this, and that. However, God may give you an instruction that's something completely opposite of what you're waiting on. He may tell you to go and bless somebody else. He may tell you to go and serve this. So it doesn't mean you just sit in a posture and your hands are tied and you're looking at the walls and you do absolutely nothing. No, there's probably going to be instructions, and maybe not. Maybe not. But if he says be still, there's still movement. In fact, a lot. There's a lot of movement and acceleration in the spiritual realm. He also may say be still, definitely for me here. My goodness. Be still, because typically you already have your hands tied up in something else, right? And that something else may not even be a God-given thing. You just kind of got yourself tied up in something else. So now when God comes back and tells you, all right, I need you to do A, B, and C, you're already tied up in something else to have your attention, and God doesn't have your undivided attention. So be still may just means I don't want you to get tied up in any new assignments. I don't want you to get tied up in it. I may give you a conviction to boom, go and bless somebody. I'll give you a conviction to boom, do this. But you're not, okay, perfect example coming to my spirit now. Okay, with Mr. Steve, I didn't get the okay to just bless him and leave. There was a longing in the spiritual realm that this is going to be an assignment until I tell you otherwise. Well, with the gentleman who I blessed this past weekend who was homeless, there was absolutely zero lingering in the spiritual realm to continue. One time, keep it moving. Matter of fact, I looked at the card yesterday and got convicted. Don't you even put the card somewhere else, and if you ever hear back from me again, you know where the card is, right? So I heard that conviction. Be still. So sometimes, again, being still, just making sure that you're not tied up in anything else. But please don't get it twisted that being still means that you are to do absolutely nothing. Even if you hear God convicting you to do something. It is a trick of the enemy, because people who have that seed of just always being very fearful and almost afraid to take a step, the enemy will have you sitting right there thinking that be still means do nothing. And you're taking that and you're running. I can't get up off of this. You're taking that and you're running with that. So that's your excuse, even though you know God is telling you to relocate, or God is telling you to do this and do that. And you're like, no, but everybody says this is a season, be still. Yeah, but if God says move. And the last one, number 4. Oh, I'm glad I saved this for last, because this may kind of linger for a bit. All right, so they did not use you. They did not use you. They did not use you. Okay, so here's the thing. A lot of people are in this season right now where because God has already brought a lot of revelation and insights to you, and he's removed the scales off of your eyes, and you're really seeing people for who they are, like the people who are already in your life or whatever, even new people, but you're seeing people's true colors, and you almost have this thing in your spirit, like this offense, because you felt like you missed it, and you felt like this person was using me all along, or like, how did I miss this and that? Well, if God wanted you to see that or feel that early on, he would have removed the scales then. But he's removing things now because you're in a season where he's about to shift you, so he's waking you up to know that these people can't go, right? Next, they didn't use you, because anything that you have come from God. That can look like overflow. That can look like different gifts of the spirits. Whatever you have came from God, right? So if it came from God, then it must be used for God. So if you're using your gifts for God, how can a person use you? It's not even yours. How can they use you? So I've never, ever had any type of feeling like, oh, well, person such and such, and they used me. It's not even yours. What's going on is that God is actually watching you. And he's watching them. But we'll talk about them in a few. But he's watching you. So even if the person betrayed you, even if they were disloyal, even if they talked behind your back, even if they did this, people are people. At the end of the day, when you ask God for overflow, when you ask God to be used, when God blessed you with certain gifts and you started to act on those certain gifts. Give me 1 second, guys. My TV popped on. I'm sorry. So when you ask God, listen, let me tell you something. I was so proud of myself because I turned off my notifications this morning. The enemy be trying me, honey. It's like the minute I start speaking, if it's not my house phone, it's the TV, it's the other phone, it's the other cell phone. He just be petty Paulo. But anyway, sorry guys. Okay, so when you ask God for these gifts, or when God bless you with these gifts, he was watching you. God will watch you. Whatever you ask for, God will watch you like a hawk. So you did the right thing. You helped this person. You poured into this person. You had this person back. You blessed this person. You did what you were supposed to do. So that frees you. The enemy will have you focus on the person. I was so loyal, and that people are just people. God is God. This is why it's important to guard your heart. People are just people. You got to stop putting so much loyalty into people as if people are God. People are flawed just like you. So we put all this loyalty into people thinking, oh, you're going to be 100% loyal. They're never going to betray me. They're never going to. People are just, everybody trying to figure this thing out called life at the end of the day, right? So when you bless people, make sure you're doing it from a spiritual place versus a head place. When you're moving from a head place, and my God, have I learned this the hard way over time. When you're moving from a head place or an emotional place, that is when your heart will be grieved because you're moving from emotions. So ask God to help you, especially my empaths. Ask God to teach you and give you grace to move from a spiritual place versus emotional and head, because it can be very confusing at times. But when you've moved from a spiritual place, nobody can use you. In fact, they set their self back. They set you up to be promoted because you did your part. They set their self back to be demoted. Nobody can use you. They didn't use you. You passed your test. So now, another reason why God is exposing these same people that's in your heart right now, and you're thinking like, oh, you did this, it's because you're moving to the next level of elevation. So God trusted you and he watched you with whatever you had going on last season. So now he's about to magnify that because you passed your test. But the enemy is trying to get you to take your focus off the fact that God is about to elevate you. And what I've learned when it comes down to passing tests on certain levels, it's almost like when you pass those tests, it goes from like, it doesn't go from like 1 to 2. It goes from like 1 to 5. Seriously, it goes from like 1 to 5. So this is why it's important to pass your test, whatever your test is. Now, because you're going much higher, God is showing you the people for who they truly are, so they can't go with you. Also, God is giving you a glimpse of what to look for at the next season, a glimpse of, see, this is why I need you to not move from heart and emotions at times, because now I'm allowing you to feel all this hurt, all this, so you can know at the next level, you got to move all spiritual. So he's really showing you people, like truly for who they are. He's showing you people. So let your heart, don't get all bogged up, right? Because this is my spirit. Somebody must be going through a heartbreak, or somebody betrayed you, and you're sulking in that. How could you do this to me because I've done this, and that? How could you do this to me when everybody turned on you and I was the only one that had your back? How can you do this when I took you in when you was dead broke and now you're up on your feet? Like, I can't even hear from you. Listen, that's the trick of the enemy. Stop wallowing in that. Yes, they hurt you. Yes, they betrayed you. Now what are we going to do? You know, now they've shown you who they are. Cut them off. Don't look back. Right? Unless God tells you otherwise, but whatever. Cut them off. Don't look back. And now focus on that time just to heal. You know, don't take too long, but whatever you need, go ahead and heal. Change your perspective so God can take you to the next level. The best revenge is to keep elevating. Don't keep toiling with mud ducks. Don't keep toiling back with ungrateful, selfish usuries. Don't keep, is that a word, usuries? I don't know. People who use you. Don't keep toiling in that. God is taking you higher. You pass your test. Really quickly, because this is pinging, I gotta go. Really quickly. You're being tested. I'm telling you, you're being tested. I don't think people understand how God will keep watching you. So when y'all are sitting here, not y'all, but when people are like side-eyeing people that they think God is blessing or whatever, you better sit down and have a conversation with those people. I don't think people understand the sacrifice the obedience, and how God will test you over and over and over and over and over again. God will watch you. You prayed and you harassed my nerve for a job 5 years ago. I gave you the job. Now you won't even do the right thing on the job. You're coming late. You won't even respect your boss. You're doing what you want to do. All right, keep playing with me because I'll keep you from a job for the rest of your life. You asked me for overflow to be able to bless your family and bless other people. But yet when I convict you to tell you to go and plant a seed to somebody you see walking at the bus stop to help this person get on the bus for the rest of the month, you don't want to do it. But you asked me to be used. You asked me to bless you, right? I can't physically walk up as God and hand. So I'm using you as a vessel and you don't even want to do it. All right, don't do it, boo. You're behind to be at that bus stop next week. You asked me for overflow. You got extra food in your house. Now your neighbor asking you for something. You're acting like you. Let me end this because things are pinging and popping up all in my spirit. But whatever it is, please know God will watch you like a hawk. And he will convict you. Ignore that conviction if you want. So again, it's not rocket science. It's obedience. Period. God has to trust you. If God can trust you, and I'm not talking about trust you 97%. I mean trust you 100% to move the way he needs you to move. He don't have no choice but to bless you. It's really not rocket science. People just don't want to sacrifice. People are selfish. How are you going to be using yourself? Make it make sense. You guys have a great one. It's your girl, Kizzy Rock.